Welcome to Cinema Convos. This is the show where we bring guests with different tastes in film. I'm your host, Yash, and I'm here with my producer, Zach, and our special guest, Melody. Today we are discussing the film Mean Girls from 2004, directed by Mark Waters and written by Tina Fey, starring Lindsay Lohan and Rachel McAdams. And before we get started today, we're just going to issue a quick spoiler warning since we will talk about plot points in the movie. So definitely check the movie out before listening to this. And with that, I'm going to start with some of our preliminary questions. And starting with Melody, what's your first memory with this movie or your best memory with this movie? Like something that just sticks out to you, I guess.
Oh gosh. I feel like I saw this in theaters when it came out.
Really?
Yeah, probably so. I was a big Lindsay Lohan fan. So I probably did see this in theaters. But probably my best memory is in high school. I had a group of friends, and like every Friday night we would watch Mean Girls and Pitch Perfect. Every Friday night we would just rewatch it.
Those are
They're
both
the best movies.
Yeah. What about you, Zach?
So, I feel like Mean Girls is one of those movies where Mean Girls is one of those movies where I can't remember the first time I saw it. It feels like I've seen it 100 times. I feel like it's one of the movies that you see on cable. That's probably where I've seen it for the most part, just like scrolling through the channels on a Saturday afternoon. First few times, I never actually watched it all the way through, but through about 4 or 5 showings, I watched the entire length of the movie in multiple sittings.
Yeah, for me, I didn't watch this movie until I was in high school. I'd heard about it. Obviously, I think everyone had heard about it. And I think I was just randomly on Netflix with like a few friends. And it was on Netflix at the time. It's kind of been on and off Netflix over the years. I actually recently picked up a Blu-ray copy of it. I'm like, I need to own this movie. I'm going to watch it again. I watched it, and I actually thought it was like okay the first time I watched it. But like watching it again and again over the years, it's like one of my favorite comedies because it's just like so many of the scenes are so memorable and so funny. And it's so goofy, but it's like also like really smart in a way. It's very like satirical. I don't know. I really enjoy watching it. I just watched it a few months ago recently. I watched it with my parents. They had never seen it. So I showed it to them and we all had a good time. But yeah, for me, it was probably like 2013 or 14 when I watched it. This is one of those movies I watch usually at least once a year. So
I'm not sure how old I was when I watched it the first time. I think you said 2013, so what, like you would have been like what, 18, 17, 18?
Probably 16 or 17. Like I was like in the middle of high school somewhere.
Yeah, I think I probably watched it. I see it scrolling through cable. I probably watched it first when I was like 11 or 12 or something. Just scrolling through.
Okay, so kind of bouncing off some of the things we've talked about. What are some of your favorite aspects of the movie, Melody? Like I guess anything that really sticks out to you.
I feel like it's super quotable. So like my friends who have seen it, like we re-quote it a lot, and there's just so many things that come from it. Like, you can't sit with us, and she doesn't even go here. That are completely from that movie.
Gina, you're wearing sweatpants. It's Monday. So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us. Whatever. Those rules aren't real. They were real that day I wore a vest, because that vest was disgusting. You can't sit with us!
Kind of bouncing off what Melody said, it is very quotable. Also, it's very, not just quotable, it's also memeable, too. Can't think of many movies that have spawned so many memes, just...
The whole movie is kind of like a big meme.
I feel like especially this generation, the movies you remember the most are the ones that have the most memes that come from it. And also, I just like the overall tone. I mean, obviously it wasn't the first teen movie, but I feel like it was groundbreaking in the sense that a lot of teen movies, I feel like, come from the male point of view. And I feel like Mean Girls was kind of groundbreaking in that way.
It's interesting because that's one of the reasons my high school self thought I wouldn't like the movie. And then I actually watched it, and now it's amazing. It's so funny.
Comes from the point of view of girls, but it's not just for girls, it's for everyone. But
everyone,
it's different because at that point of view kind of had gotten neglected. And that kind of says a lot about the writing style of Tina Fey, and I think a lot of that is what she brought to it.
Yeah, and also it's a movie that's it's pretty over the top sometimes, and obviously there's a lot of things that are very exaggerated, but at its core it does have a good heart, and it has it's a feel-good movie by the end of it. And I think that's what resonates with a lot of people too. It's just it's a pleasant movie to watch. Nothing about it makes you sad. It's a fun movie to watch that puts you in a good mood. which is it's kind of nice. Like even a lot of the comedies that come out today, there's not as many movies that are like this, I guess, self-aware and goofy, but also don't feel the need to be too serious, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like lighthearted, I guess, is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
But like a lot of teen movies, even the comedies, like take themselves too seriously.
One of the first like major ones in the early 2000s, I would say. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the early 2000s was a big time for teen movies. Well, late 90s, early 2000s. I think 1999, like you had American Pie. But
Yeah.
obviously it's a very different movie from that. It's raunchier. When I think of teen comedy, that's the movie that comes to mind. Like American Pie. But I think Mean Girls accomplished something different. It's not dependent on a whole bunch of sex jokes. It really is a very character-driven film.
Yeah, because like I like raunchy comedies, but a lot of people don't, and I feel like this movie doesn't feel like anything's missing from it not being raunchy. Like it still feels like the jokes hit hard regardless. So I think I can appreciate that too, because I feel like most of the comedies that are well known, I could be wrong about this, but I feel like a lot of them are more on the raunchier side, or like the R-rated types of movies.
A lot of them, yeah.
In this movie,
Like especially teen comedies.
Yeah. So I guess kind of the topic we're already on, but are there any movies that give you the same feeling or have a similar vibe? I know you mentioned Pitch Perfect, but is there anything else, Melody, that kind of reminds you of Mean Girls?
I don't know, really. I feel like just as far as like the high school like drama aspect of it, I don't know that there's much out there that's super similar. But for like just like the pure comedy, I don't know, maybe I guess a lot of the Lindsay Lohan movies, like Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, would be pretty on par, but not quite as on par as Mean Girls.
Yeah.
And then like your Pitch
that
Perfect,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. Very teen girl high school comedy.
Yeah, for sure. For me, two movies come to mind. There's a movie, you guys may have seen it. It's from 2010, I think. It was Easy A with Emma Stone.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I
love ECA.
I think that's a really funny movie too. And it's also a movie I watched again recently. More recently, a movie I saw just last year. I really liked the movie Booksmart, which kind of gave me kind of a similar vibe to me. It also kind of had the female perspective, but also it's more of like the perspective in 2019 as opposed to like the early 2000s, I guess. But yeah, does anything come to mind for you, Zach?
I mean, I don't know. It's sort of like, yeah, like Melody was saying, sort of like a lot of the Lindsay Lohan films. I mean, for some reason, I think it's just because it has Lindsay Lohan in it. But for some reason, like Freaky Friday kind of comes to mind. But I honestly feel like it's just purely because it has a Lindsay Lohan in it. I fear there's not
it's
much.
It's also the high school, like, you know, Freaky Friday has like the high school vibe and like, you know, the feelings that a high schooler has or whatever. So
yeah,
similar movies, but very Lindsay Lohan classic.
Yeah, very Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, I guess for comparing movies, you think of a lot of high school, college movies with like a female perspective, and I guess Pitch Perfect, as you said, is probably the one that comes like as close. I feel like.
I agree.
And it's also like Mean Girls. It's also sort of about cliques as well. You know, the struggle of trying to fit in. That's. I think Mean Girls and Pitch Perfect have that in common.
Yeah, I mean, while we're on the subject, I'm just curious because I've never seen it because I heard it's awful. But have either of you seen the Mean Girls 2, like the sequel they made?
I don't want to acknowledge it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
is that the one with like the younger Mean Girls?
I think so.
I think I've seen it, but I couldn't like speak to how good it was because I obviously don't have like a strong memory of it.
I'm Mandy with an I. And you're Joe, right? That's me. So Joe, since you're new here, I thought we'd help you out. Let you know who to hang out with. Us.
The real welcoming committee had arrived.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It's always been one of those movies I'm like curious to watch because I know it's gonna be bad, but I never really put myself. I just watch Mean Girls again whenever I feel like doing that.
It wasn't released in theaters, right? Like it was direct to DVD.
Yeah, and also one more interesting thing about the original Mean Girls is, this could be wrong, I could be remembering it wrong, but I was watching a video about before this movie came out, and they had no idea this movie would become a hit like it's become over the years. Like they were just like, it's a teen comedy with Lindsay Lohan, like we'll see what happens. And yeah, and today it's one of the most like as you've said, quotable and like memorable movies, but it's kind of interesting how like certain movies age over time. I feel like there was even a possibility this movie was going to be direct to DVD, I think, at one point.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Like I was watching a video about, it was actually it's the guy who plays Kevin G. He was releasing a book, and he was talking about how like when they approached him with the idea, they were like not very confident in it. They were like, yeah, just another teen comedy. We'll see. We just want you for this part or something.
No, but Mingo was really interesting, especially like you said, his success was a little bit of a surprise. It really was a like sleeper hit. Napoleon Dynamite also comes to mind as a sleeper hit that no one saw coming. But I feel like the odds are even more stacked against that movie since it had a budget of $500,000. This one obviously was a little more substantial, but I feel like combining them, because they were these sleeper comedy hits that no one saw coming, and now they are fondly remembered as classics from around the same time. So if answering the question, I forget if we're still on this question about what movie give you the similar vibe from its kind of success model, that comes to mind.
So kind of bouncing around everything we've been talking about, are there any themes presented in the movie that you find to be profound, Melody?
Themes that are profound, I don't know if it necessarily has that, with the exception of like kind of towards the end, they kind of bring out like that Mean Girls, like, has anybody here ever been personally victimized by Regina George? And everybody raises their hand. And I feel like everybody kind of has in their life those kind of people that are like just very domineering and like the mean girl of their life, and like showing that I guess that can be overcome, and like you don't have to be controlled by that girl, Okay,
everybody close your eyes. All right. I want you to raise your hand if you have ever had a girl say something bad about you behind your back. Open your eyes. Now, close your eyes again. And this time, I want you to raise your hand if you have ever said anything about a friend behind her back. Open them. It's been some girl-on-girl crime here.
So obviously this movie has so many different memorable moments, and it's hard to choose just one. But I guess, Melody, what is your favorite scene in the movie? And I guess you can either break it down or kind of tell us why it's your favorite. And if you don't have just one, you could talk about a couple scenes.
Oh gosh. I don't know what my favorite scene is. I really like the scene kind of towards the beginning of the movie where she meets I don't even remember their names. The like
her two friends.
Yeah, her two friends. She meets those two and they're like, let's show her, that classroom, like that's in building whatever. And then they take her out to the football field and they're just like sitting there and chilling. And she's like, well, where is this building? And they're like, oh yeah, it burned down in the 90s. And she's like, what? Yeah. I really like that scene just because they like kind of take her for who she is and like see that she needs people and needs like friends, and just like give that to her. So I really like that scene. Just for like, I don't know, the sentimental value of like that friendship that they have. I think that's a good scene. And then I also I think one of the most like memorable scenes is at the end when there's that girl and they're like, they have all the girls in the gym and they're talking about whatever. And there's that girl and she's talking and they're like, wait, she doesn't even go here. And she's like, yeah, I just have a lot of feelings. And like falls into the pit. I think that's a really funny scene.
Yeah. Just part of that whole scene that's just hilarious is just how like, I think Damien is his name, is just in that meeting.
Yes.
For like all the girls. It just makes it funnier. He's just disguised undercover.
Yeah, I agree. I like that he's there too because he's just like, he's only friends with girls. So it kind of makes sense that he's there and then he's disguised and like, she doesn't even go here.
It's so funny.
I just wish we could all get along like we used to in middle school. I wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles and we'd all eat it, be happy.
She doesn't even go here.
Do you even go to this school?
No. I just have a lot of feelings.
Okay, go home.
Zach, what about you?
I don't know. I'm having a hard time thinking about what my favorite scene is. I'm Like, it was one of those movies that it's hard for me to point out. Like, I mean, that scene, like in the gym is great.
Yeah, there's a lot of great moments.
Instead of talking about my favorite scene, I'm gonna talk about my favorite character. Is the principal in Meadows is the actor. He's a great character actor. He's super funny and just I don't know. He's not a main character. He just kind of is there, and he adds just a little bit of flavor to it.
I think my favorite part with his character is how when they're like, how there's like the whole segment where they like kind of, it looks like they're interviewing people, and then just like the principal is like giving a rundown of all the rumors going on in the school. It just cracks me up. For me, it's kind of a tie. I would say, and it's the first time I watched this movie, I don't know, the talent show, just like I was laughing throughout the whole thing. It was so funny. Starting with Kevin G's rap, and then just how their whole thing plays out. It's just super funny. Also, like Amy Poehler in this movie is she just cracks me up.
Yes, I forgot about her.
But I mean, that's one of my favorite moments. And then I really like when Regina George kind of formulates her plan to make it look like the burn book was written by someone else, and then just goes outside and like throws all of the papers out the hallway. And throughout the movie they show how like Lindsay Lohan's kind of a fish out of water, and she imagines how things would be in the jungle world or whatever. And then it's like actually like that, and it's just a really cool like parallel to what she's been seeing throughout the movie. She's like, oh wait, I'm not going away this time. But then like one of the teachers just goes in, she's just like, they've gone wild, the girls have gone wild, and it just cracks me up. I don't know, the whole thing, the whole movie. But those are probably my two favorite moments. And Kevin G is probably my favorite character. He's so funny. And
yeah, I feel like Yash, you are Kevin G.
I mean, I identify with him sometimes.
I feel like you are sometimes. Like you're just Kevin G, and I love that about you.
I was never in the mathletes, but I don't think I'd ever be able to rap like him. But everything else is the potential.
Just everything else except those main things.
Yeah, but yeah, I was Kevin G for Halloween last year, so that's just shows.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Movies influences, span for years. Okay, so moving forward, I guess you've already mentioned, Melody, that you kind of grew up watching a lot of Lindsay Lohan's movies, but this movie has a lot of successful people in it, and I was wondering if you would call yourself, a big fan of anyone that's in the movie, and I guess any actor that stands out to you, or actor or actress.
I don't know. I guess like when I was younger, like I really liked Lindsay Lohan. Like I was all about, Parent Trap and Freaky Friday and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've gotten older, I think I've really seen like the comedy of Tina Fey. I really like Tina Fey.
Oh yeah.
I think that she's just so funny. And then like, I don't know, I think especially, if you look at like Tina Fey's career, and how she kind of like grew up with like Amy Poehler on SNL and stuff. I think the two of them, I like both of their comedy a whole lot. And so I think, I can really get behind a good Tina Fey movie.
Yeah, she's really funny. Just real quick about just bouncing off, talking about Tina Fey. I think she's a great actress, but I think she's debatably even a more talented writer. Just all the work she's done in like writing comedy. She's the creator of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, 30 Rock, and she's worked a lot in terms of like behind the scenes, and I think she has a good eye for like what makes a good joke, and like but also creating characters that you can like care about.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, like Tina Fey, an incredibly talented writer. Like 30 Rock, probably one of my favorite shows of all time.
I still need to watch 30 Rock. I know you've told me to, Zach.
And a lot of it, like you can owe just to her writing style is just fast paced. There's like joke after joke after joke, joke after joke after joke. Like you don't have time to think about the joke you just heard because there's another one.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, and that's so Tina Fey.
Yeah. What about you, Zach? I know you mentioned I forgot the name. What was the name of the principal?
Tim Meadows.
Meadows. Yeah. So
yeah, like he was on SNL for like 10 years, all throughout the 90s.
Okay.
And he was kind of he's one of those he's a character actor. He doesn't steal the show, or he's not he's not ever the star, but he does steal the show in supporting roles.
Yeah, I remember I saw him in a newer Pop Star. I thought he was really funny
Yes.
in that movie. Have you seen that movie?
Meadows is so funny. He doesn't get the respect he needs as an actor, and that's he doesn't get. He's so funny. Like if you ever go back and watch some of his old stuff on SNL, he's so funny. I don't know, in an understated way. He's never over the top. It's pretty subtle. But anyway, as far as actors, Rachel McAdams, this was arguably her breakout role. Well, again, the Notebook were her two breakout roles.
Right.
I think
They're both
it's the same year.
both 04, yeah. So it was a big year for her.
Yeah. So this is a big year for Rachel McAdams. I like her in this, but my opinion of her was she wasn't a very good actress because she did this and the Notebook. Not exactly high caliber acting, but then she was in Spotlight.
That's kind of what I was going to say. Rachel McAdams stands out to me too because I feel like she's done a lot of both comedy and drama in her career. She has a lot of range. Like
She
I
does.
saw her in, I think in 2018 there's a movie called Game Night. She was really funny in that.
Oh yeah, she is really funny.
And then as you said, Spotlight. She's much more like understated and like very real performance in that. So I feel like she's kind of become a big talent. And I mean, even to some extent, like I saw The Notebook recently too, finally, but I think that's a pretty solid performance too. I wouldn't consider that a bad performance. I don't know. I don't watch any like Nicholas Sparks movies though. That's the only one I've heard is like worth watching. So I can't get back behind the cheesiness of them. But I mean, I can see myself like casually watching them. I guess. Yeah, but Rachel McAdams, and has she been nominated or won an Oscar yet? Because I know
she got nominated for Spotlight. Never won an Oscar. That's really the only role she's ever done that would be awards caliber. Not saying that she doesn't do good movies, but like none of her movies would be what people voting for awards would be looking for, except for Spotlight was the only one that people would be like, I could see her in awards. And to be honest, it was kind of a surprise to see her get nominated for the Oscar because of the other movies she's been in. She isn't exactly in those awards caliber films, or she isn't known for that. So it is always fun when you see someone get nominated for an Oscar that is kind of, you feel like they're kind of out of their element, we don't know if they're out of their comfort zone, but it sure looks that way from if you look at their resume.
Yeah.
And that's always fun.
And speaking of Rachel McAdams, she was just in that Netflix movie, the Eurovision movie, and she was good in that too.
She was really good in that. She was really good. I liked her in that.
I feel like she just has a lot of, I feel like Lindsay Lohan showed potential early on, but I think Rachel McAdams has gone the furthest in her career not including Tina Fey, because Tina Fey definitely has more experience, but I can see Rachel McAdams being around for a while.
Yeah, no. Here's something, if Lindsay Lohan and Rachel McAdams, their roles in the film have been swapped, if they played each other's characters, I don't think the movie would have worked. I think Rachel McAdams really played Regina George really well, kind of that meanness, that pettiness.
Yeah.
That I don't know. It's not saying Lindsay Lohan couldn't have done it. I just don't think she should have captured it as well.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine this movie like any other way like that. Okay, so I know it's pretty clear that all of us really like this movie, but I guess, Melody, is there anything in the movie you would change to improve it, or do you consider it a perfect movie?
I don't know that I would necessarily go with a perfect movie, but I wouldn't change anything just because of the nostalgia that comes with the movie.
Right.
And if you change anything, like you take away that perfect balance of like comedy and cringy that makes it so great.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
What about you, Zach?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, like I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie either, but I feel weird about changing movies. Like it almost doesn't seem right, because our movies really, if it's a perfect movie, our movies I don't think are meant to be perfect.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you love a movie, you also love its imperfections, because it makes it special to you. And
yeah,
I don't know. And Mean Girls, I can't think of many imperfections or things it does bad, but if there are, I don't know if I'd change it, because that's what makes movies special.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, yeah, it's kind of on the same boat. Like, no, it's not like a 5 out of 5 movie for me, but at the same time, I mean, I think it's one of those movies that were like almost all of the comedic moments work, and it's hard to imagine the movie with any of it taken out. It's already so short too. It's 90 minutes, very quick watch. Honestly, this is like, for a lot of comedies, I would say there are some that like run too long, but I feel like this one, it would, just because Tina Fey's behind the wheel, if there was like an extended cut of Mean Girls, I would watch it because I'd be curious what jokes there'd be out there.
Yeah.
Because it's like everything is just so clever. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like just because of its influence on pop culture, I don't think there's anything I would take out of the movie. But yeah, it's in terms of just looking at it as a comedy, it is one of the most rewatchable, I think. Okay, so now we're approaching the end of our conversation today, and the last thing I'd like to ask everyone is, if you had to convince someone to watch this movie, what would you tell them? On the off chance you find someone who hasn't already seen this movie.
Yeah, so it's funny that you ask that because my boyfriend today was just like, yeah, I've never seen that.
What?
And I was explaining to him, I was like, okay, first of all, it's a classic. And like everybody has seen this movie. So to not have seen it, like,
Genuinely surprising.
It's surprising, right? It's
Yeah.
shocking.
Mm-hmm.
It's so quotable. Like, so many people just say those quotes like their second nature. Like, if you see it, you'll understand the quotes. Duh.
Yeah.
And then just like, how could you not want to watch it? Because it's so funny. It just flows so well, and there's just so many different like storylines kind of all going at once that like it just makes it watchable. And so that's what I would say to somebody.
Sure.
Actually, just bouncing, I just remembered, like, it was last year. I would say we were having a movie night at my friend's apartment, and one of our friends actually hadn't seen it, so we did watch Mean Girls that time. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, Zach, what would you say?
Well, I mean, I'd probably say, kind of as what Millie said, it's a very quotable movie. There's a lot of quotes and memes you've probably heard of. If you've seen the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, you've probably heard. I know it's probably from that movie, but I don't really have the context, so I don't really know. If you see the movie, you'll have the context, and and you'll appreciate them better. You'll appreciate the memes, quotes better.
Yeah.
And also, it's just an all-around great movie. We've talked about the writing style of Tina Fey. Yeah, gold. Yes, she makes good stuff.
Yeah.
You will appreciate her writing. If you've ever been in high school, you will appreciate this to a certain extent.
That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of say a little bit of everything you guys have said. Like, first of all, it's an easy watch, not too much time out of your day, and it moves at such a fast pace that you're very entertained throughout, and it's so consistently funny. It's not like it has a few standout funny scenes. It's like almost every second of the movie is really funny.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing for a comedy. Most of the time when I'm disappointed with a comedy, well, all the funny parts are in the trailer and nothing else was really funny about it. And this movie, it's just like there's definitely something you haven't seen. Even if you've seen the memes, even if you've seen the quotes, you've definitely missed something because there's so much in this movie. And yeah, I mean, I guess to really like sell someone on it, I would say like I watch a lot of movies in my free time, and most of them are new movies that I haven't seen. But this is one of the few movies I feel like I watch at least once every year. So it's one of the movies I rewatch often.
Now here's what we're gonna do.
Ron, come quick. They've gone wild. The girls have gone wild.
All right, so with that wraps our discussion on Mean Girls. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Melody and Zach for being on the show today. And from all of us at Cinema Convos, we hope you tune in next time.